Let's see. Tony Russi and Meh is still here. Meh's here. Michael's here. Da 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 da. Oh, we're live.
Yeah, we're live. Yeah. And
hello and welcome to World Sand Project. I am the magical sand princess, Shelley Carney.
so that MSP moniker stuck in my head so much that before I realized it, all the content that I saved, photographs, maps, videos, etc., I preceded them with MSP instead of
WSP?
Yeah.
It's just upside down.
Yeah, it's just upside down.
W.
Hey, so we've got a giveaway to do today, but it'll be the last Friday giveaway. We've got one of the most beautiful sand projects that we've seen thus far, and we have the gentleman who sent it to us, our friend Michael, and we're going to talk to him, and we're going to show some videos, so it's going to be kind of a cool day. Stick with us. It's kind of an easy sand to dance to. So I noticed Michael is in the room, and we're going to ask him to call in later and tell us about this after we go through our little bit of a process. But before we do anything else, what I would like to do is, so this is the giveaway from last Friday, and I told you we were going to do giveaways on the World Sand Project channel on Fridays, but that makes it really hard on me because I end up doing 2 packings, 2 shippings, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to give this away today, and we're going to give this away, and we'll keep doing this on Wednesdays. Now, it doesn't do it justice because that green spot, that's oops, upside down. That green spot you see right there is chroma keying out, but it's a beautiful image. All you have to do to qualify to win this image next Wednesday is go to last Wednesday's video and make a comment, okay? So that's next Wednesday's prize based on last Wednesday's video, okay? We're not going to do Fridays anymore. But we're going to finish up this Friday with this one. This is the Great White Northern Fracking Sand that we did last Friday. So we're going to give that away now. And in order to do that, I have to, what?
You could have moved our giveaway video over to this channel,
Oh,
too.
you know what? I'm going to have to do that because we have a giveaway video and a thank you video. We have a lot of, there's some that are AGK specific, but most of them aren't.
Well, for the giveaways, we can bring those
yeah,
over.
Agreed. Okay, I will do that. All right, so in order to do that, we're going to use commentpicker.com. But first, I need to go to the World Sand Project Video Manager and open up last Wednesday's video. And I'm gonna share the screen with you so you can see what I'm doing here. Screenshot. Oh, so this is the new version of the video manager that YouTube gave us, and I despise it. Okay, so here's the one from last Friday. So we're going to open up that one, and we're going to collect the stream. I'm going to do, that's a copy button, right? So I'm going to copy that video link. And could you hold it for a second, please? And we're going to go to commentpicker.com. Let me see how many comments are on the thing. Does that tell us?
Comment Picker will tell you.
Well, it tells me, I just want to see overall how many comments there are, but I'd have to go back one thing. I'm not going to do that because it'll just take time. Okay.
This is the fracking sand video. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Commentpicker.com, YouTube tools, YouTube random comment picker. Put the link right there. Select from. We'll hit get the YouTube comments. Ooh, 10 comments. That means you have a 1 in 10 chance of winning this beautiful. So let me tell you a little bit about the image. It's a 4x6 dye sublimation print on glossy print paper. I made it myself. I shot it myself. This will be the only one that's ever printed and given to anyone. I may put it up on my wall because I personally think it's a really beautiful, beautiful image. But this will be the only one of these that will ever be printed and given away. So one of you, one of the 10 of people who made comments, is going to win this fine project. I have the title down here in the left-hand corner and my name and date in the right-hand corner, okay? So let's pick a winner.
And if they're watching this on a phone, this tiny, 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 tiny picture of us.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Here we go. This should be easy. There's only 10 comments. 10 comments.
Ta-da!
Corey
Jacobs!
Jacobs.
Woo!
Yay, Corey.
Some water down too.
Yeah, we need some waves. Relaxing. So our winner is Corey Jacobs. He usually shows up eventually.
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
Corey. You win, Corey.
You know what it is. Send an email to worldsandproject. Oh, here, let me open up, right. So in case you missed it. So you won the Great Northern White Fracking Sand image. It's a 4x6 dye sublimation print that I made myself. It's matted in a 6x8 frame that can be hung either way. And it's got a description, or you can place it on your desk. And it's got a description of the image in the left corner and my name and date in the right corner. So send an email with send an email to World Sand Project. You'll see it up above, scrolling by sooner or later. worldsandproject@gmail.com with your shipping address, and I'll get that out to you. The post office will pick it up on Monday, so you'll get it later in the week. Okay, congratulations, Corey. I'm glad that you're a winner.
Yeah.
You spent a lot of time in our various rooms, so I'm glad that you got that. Okay, so now remember, next Wednesday, we're going to go back to Wednesdays, and this is the image for next Wednesday. This came from the Little River at the Townsend Y in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and we're going to give that away next Wednesday. In order to qualify, you need to make a comment on last Wednesday's video, okay? The one where we covered this topic. So I also, as part of what I do, I also made a 4x6 crop of one of the images that I did for this sand project, and it's really beautiful. So we'll be giving that away soon, too. I'm going to mount that away. All right, so let's go and take a look at the fotografias. And, of course, the links to both the photographs. Let me go. I'm going to go to Window Shot. So the links to the photographs and the map are in the description box below. So if you'd like to get back here and see some of these images, oops, they unsorted. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Why did they unsort on me? Let me see. World and Mungo Beach. Huh. Okay, well, I'm going to have to... Okay, it's like a completely different collection here. All right, so I'm going to have to wing it here in terms. Usually I have them sorted by the way I'm going to present them, kind of like slides, but I'm going to have to wing it. So first of all, Michael, our friend Michael, MEH, is in the room, and he's the one that sent us this sample. And Michael has been a visitor to the New Mexico area. We know him from our participation in the Forest Fen treasure hunt. He is one of the treasure hunters, and he lives and works in Japan, but he comes to New Mexico at least once a year, sometimes more often than that, to look for the treasure. And when he does, we stop by, we visit with him, we have a party for him, is what we try to do. So this particular location is in Australia. It's in the part of Australia that's called New South Wales. And you'd think, being down there closest to Antarctica, it would be very remote in all of this. The area that we're talking about is called Mungo Beach. It's part of the Myall Lakes National Park, and it's in New South Wales, Australia. Were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
No.
This New South Wales is interesting because not only does it contain two of the largest cities, Sydney and Melbourne, in Australia, but it also has the Australian capital of Canberra. And it's kind of out of the way. It's a much smaller city than either Sydney or Melbourne, but it is the capital, so you have to show them that. I did spend a 7-day R&R in Sydney when I was in the military serving in Vietnam, and it was at the time, you got to remember, this was the early 1970s. So it was beautiful then, but what was amazing was the people. The people were just so kind and so friendly.
I was there in 2010. And
oh, yeah.
What I liked was the transportation. You can get anywhere. Like you get a pass and you can get on the bus, you can get on the ferry, you can get on the train all day long.
Oh,
it's
really?
Pretty cool.
How much does the pass cost you?
I don't remember. It was 10 years ago.
Oh. So
but it was cold there. I liked it. And, well, it was winter because we went in July. My daughter and I went in July. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out why I can't make this
It's
bigger.
neat. And we were visiting somebody there.
And did they give you the tour?
So, well, he lives in Carryong, which is a suburb, and
of Sydney.
Yeah, it's outside of Sydney, about 40 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour or so, and he took us around because he was real familiar with using the bus system and everything. So, he showed us around, and we went to the zoo, and
nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, they're good people. So if I remember correctly, and I didn't make a notation on the map, but I think Mungo Beach, the area that we're going to be looking at, is about halfway between Sydney and Melbourne. So you can see it on the coast. We'll get a closer look here in just a minute. But there's the Myall Lakes State Park. I may be pronouncing that. It could be Myall Lakes, but it looks like Myall Lakes State Park. And then Mungo Beach is down here. What I do want to point out, and what we're going to do... Oops.
What?
I have to, my red, we need to write Michael's emails, and it's on that red clipboard of mine, which is outside of my desk. Could you get that while I keep going through this? Because I've got to keep sorting through these slides. What I do want you to notice is that this beach area is very, very narrow before it turns into what is effectively the bush. And a lot of that stuff is dried, and you're going to see a map of where the fires are in the area. And as a matter of fact, one of the photographs that Michael sent us include the area and kind of what they're experiencing in photographs. So this is how dense the foliage is right here. And this is a photograph, and I'm going to have you read this, if you please. Okay. Read that from there on. So this is an email from Michael.
Second
the
paragraph?
second paragraph on.
Here are some more photos that you can use if you like. The first one is a shot of the sky from the campus of the University of Newcastle, where I had been visiting in the days before collecting the sand sample, and where I worked for 7 years in the 1990s. I had a constant ringing headache from all the smoke. We had good weather at Myall Lakes, though, due to a sea breeze that pushed the smoke and ash further inland. The second photo is at the Bomba Point Ferry. Check it out on the map, which we had to take in order to make our way back inland from the coast. A few minutes after crossing, we came across a very large male kangaroo, which we managed to catch on video. I will send you the video, as well as one of me collecting the sand sample.
So let's go back. What I'd like to do is, if you would, read... Oops. That email. And then we'll play some videos. While you're reading that, I'm going to reorganize these slides.
Okay. Yesterday, I sent a sand sample to you from Mungo Beach in Myall Lakes National Park, which is in the Australian state of New South Wales, about 200 to 250 kilometers north of Sydney. It was collected on the 7th of December, just below the shoreline. I had to be quick. I cleaned the sand by rinsing and soaking in tap water, then boiled, microwaved, and dried it. It should arrive before Christmas. The spot is one of those mythical, unspoiled South Pacific beaches that stretch as far as you can see in both directions. Check the map. It's an easy day trip from where I used to live in the 90s and is a special place for me. Did you hide a treasure? If you credit me in writing, okay, I'm just going to use this.
Just read.
I think here are the photos. The photos showing me are at the actual spot. The others were taken at other locations in the same general area. There you go.
All right. So I think I've got these photos straightened out now. So I'm going to go back to the window shot and open this one up. So first of all, Michael sent us, oops, that wasn't good. Let me go back fast. Finish. So Michael sent us this image of kind of what the bush looks like behind, and let me get it back. Behind the beach, and you can see it's thick with foliage, but it's especially thick with dried stuff, and that's the stuff that's on fire right now. This is the image of the sky from Newcastle University, or University of Newcastle, where he was conducting a course. Michael teaches in Tokyo, but travels pretty much all over the kind of Eastern Hemisphere, right? To teach in other locations. I think that's how he gets down there. And that's the ferry that they had to cross. So he mentioned two things. Number one was the kangaroo.
That's a big kangaroo. That is a big kangaroo. That's not a wallaby. That's a big one. Yeah, look at that.
Guys, be careful because they can get aggressive.
Well, we're in no danger. That is a big kangaroo. Oh boy. They can be aggressive, but they cannot do much other than cause me to lose money when returning this car. Scratch the car. They can't do much of it. Look at this. Doesn't seem too bothered. Not moving very fast. Sorry, but the way roads work, we have to go by. Hello. That's a big
Well,
So
from my understanding, it's the emus who are out
Are
just in the middle of the road for no reason,
and then they get mad at
and
you
then they
because
run at your car like
Oh,
they think
nice.
they're bigger than you are.
yeah.
That's what I understand. I didn't
So,
see any.
so that was a very nice video of the kangaroo. But again, you may have noticed not only the kangaroo, but all of that that low-level brush that's dry, because that's where the fire starts. And then, even though you may have green foliage above it, it dries it out and it burns it. And I checked this morning, and this is what the fire situation is for that area. This is the area. This is Mungo Beach right here, and all those blue little flamey things are where there are fires. And as a matter of fact,
Wow.
oops, let me go back one this way. And as a matter of fact, this area right here, see the yellow area with the blue no-go? It's closed right now, so you couldn't get to this beach because it's closed as part of the greater fire danger. So Michael's timing was really good. So he did send me a video of him collecting the sand, and we'll take a look at that. There you go. You like your waves? So we're going to go to a video anyway.
Oh,
So here's of him collecting the sand. So I thought it was very smart that he put that plastic bag over his hand, then went down to the beach and took grabbed a handful of sand. Later on, as he said in his letter, he dried it, he washed it, and he microwaved it. And he did that not to sanitize the sand sample because it's necessary to sanitize sand. He knew he was going to have to ship it. And eventually either somebody in Australia or somebody in the U.S. would ask what it was and whether it was clean. And I think that's why it took, Michael said it should arrive before Christmas. It didn't arrive until just a couple of days ago, and it looked like it had taken a pretty good trip. So, Michael, I'm going to continue with the pictures, but whenever you're ready, why don't you give us a call, because I'd like to hear more about this area, because it really looks interesting. And again, I'm going to flip over to photographs of you and the others who were on the beach. So let me switch over to that. And Michael, our call-in number, I know Michael is in Tokyo right now, so it's like 7:20 in the morning. And
Tomorrow morning.
He's going to have to call in using his Skype. But let's see if we can do that. Oops, hold on. I got to get you off. Do not disturb here so you can call. There we go. So you can call in. So he can tell us more
Can you
about
call
these.
your phone with Skype?
Pardon me?
You can call your phone with Skype?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I can with my Skype. I'm sure he can. And he's got to use it because he's got those old things. So I'm going to ask him to, you know what, I'll wait till he comes on to talk more about these images. But let me give you a good look at the sand. It's a very light yellow color. It's
He said he just tried calling.
Okay, that would tell him, Michael, I had my do not disturb on. I've just taken it off so that you can use it. So it's got a very nice light yellow color to it. It's very different from the sand that we looked at, a lot brighter than what we were looking at from the Smoky Mountains last week. I did a magnet test on it and got 0. There was a couple of grains of sand that there he is. Hey, Michael.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Oh, okay.
So there's going to
Wonderful.
be
now-
a little bit of a delay because of because we are having the conversation and we are using internet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the image of the beach, what looks like from a fencing of some kind. You can tell us about that. Question is how soon you can see it. Let me know when you finally see the image. Are you still there? Oops, we lost him.
Did we?
I think so.
Hello?
Yeah, we lost him. So let's see if he
That
tries
was
to call
outside
back.
of the headset.
Pardon me?
Did it disconnect from the board?
No. Let me see. So you should be able to hear. I'm going to call my personal number. No. Yeah, I can hear that. It's not disconnected from the board. So let's see if he tries again. It could just be the vagaries of Skype to a telephone, a cell phone, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to try and wait for him to call back so he can tell us more about this area. In the meantime, let's show you the sample. That's sample number 15. Very light, kind of yellowish in color and kind of interesting. It did have some natural, more organic objects in it. You'll see under the microscope. Is 0 in the way of magnetic properties. What you see here is actually from someplace else. Occasionally, when I push this into the sand, some of the sand will just stick to it, just kind of, with natural attraction. But if I bang it on the desk or the table on my workbench, that all falls off and only the magnetic objects remain. This one had 0 in the way of magnetism. So I get a sense that's a clean beach. It's very light colored, lots of quartz in both yellow. The quartz ranges all the way from white to orange, you can see. And then the red ones are likely feldspar. As you get closer, you'll also see some, black magma from magma or lava, depending where it came from, because Australia is going to collect a lot. There's some of the feldspar. And like I said, I did see some natural objects in it, some organic objects in it as well. This is just a different look at a different location in it, but you can see how crystalline. And the other thing that I wanted to remind you of, in comparison to the sand that we were looking at from the Great Smoky Mountains, the Little River of last week, all the edges have been worn off on this, and all the rocks that we saw, the miniature little sand grains that look like rocks, have broken down, and so they don't get this far into to a beach like this. But you can see they've been through a lot of cycles. It could be hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of them. I can go on. We don't know how long it takes. It takes a long time to get at the point.
I'll let him
There
talk.
he is. That's right. Okay. Okay. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Okay.
Hey.
All right. I'm going to go back.
I'm
And I'm going to start with the image overlooking the beach from what looks like a fenced area. So you can tell us about that.
okay. So this is in Newcastle, the city where I was visiting both the university and was there also for a workshop. So the presentations for the workshop were held in buildings behind what you can see in the background there. So this is really the city beach, and it's not the area where I actually collected the sand sample.
Yeah. So let me go on to the next one. And the next one is the three of you walking along the beach.
Okay, so the larger part of my visit at the University of Newcastle was with a colleague of mine who had recently moved to Australia. I'd known him from before his move, and he had only been in Newcastle for a year and had no idea about all these beautiful areas to the north. And so on the one day where I actually was free to do some sightseeing outside Newcastle, I invited him and his family up. So this is on Bennett's Beach, which you can think of as if you start from Mungo Beach and continue down, about 10 kilometers or so to the south, 10 to 15 kilometers, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
This is the three of them walking along the beach to the south.
So it looks, the sand looks very similar to the sand that we saw from the beach at which you collected.
Yeah, here I would say the sand is a little bit lighter,
Mhm.
but the thing about Australia, the whole east coast is like one long stretch of sand interrupted here and there by headlands,
Mhm.
like the ones that you can see in the distance.
Right.
It is amazing. If you picked a random spot along the coast of New South Wales, it would look something like this.
And the mountains in the background, that's actually connected to the mainland, or are those islands?
The one that you have the mouse over right now is connected to the mainland by a tiny little neck
Uh-huh.
of sand, so you can actually walk to it, yes. And the one farther in the background, the next one along, those two are like sentinels guarding Nelson Bay,
Oh, interesting.
which is a big holiday resort area.
What I noticed about the area along Sydney and Melbourne, you have a feeling that what made them such great cities was the ports, the natural ports that they host. You know, the ports are just beautiful.
Yes, in fact, Captain Cook, when he was sailing up the coast, they were looking at these bays one after another, and their concern was finding anchorage and finding sources of water, and that's how they ended up settling in Sydney.
Sydney.
They
Yeah.
tried Botany Bay first, but had to abandon it because of lack of water.
So when I looked at it, I noticed that this area right here looks like your traditional sand dune that had grown protective foliage on it. But that right behind that, I suppose, is some of this bush area that's on fire right now. Is that correct?
No, the fires are all inland.
Okay.
In this part of Australia right now, there's no coastal fires, no major coastal fires that I know of. So the shot that you showed earlier with the dense foliage is actually not that typical of what's inland. It's,
okay.
It's what they call a literal rainforest. So it's fairly unusual even for the area. But for the video of the kangaroo, that's that's very typical.
Right.
So where the fires are, the trees and foliage look very much like
Interesting.
spots of kangaroo.
So that was a pretty good sized kangaroo, wasn't it?
That was the biggest kangaroo I have ever seen in this area of Australia.
Yeah.
The only bigger kangaroo that I've ever seen was in the Northern Territory. This a gigantic red kangaroo that I disturbed on a bushwalk once.
Mm-hmm. And how long and where did you work when you were in Australia?
So I worked for 7 years at the University of Newcastle,
Mm-hmm.
and then another 2.5, almost 3 years at the University of Sydney before moving to Japan.
Mm. And while you were there, or while either during your time there working or when you visit, have you ever seen any indications of, various forms of sand mining or sand dredging? Because a lot of the sand that ended up in Dubai, for their various sand-based projects there came from Australia. I wondered if there was any indication of where it came from in this area.
Well, I don't know. There is sand mining in Australia. There's beach sand mining.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where the sand goes.
Yeah.
But I was reading about trying to check out the history of sand mining in the Myall Lakes area, and they had sand mines there up until about the 70s, and then they were closed down. The whole area there is now protected. But if you go on the other side of Nelson Bay, so that photo of my colleague and his family walking on the beach, if you go...
I'll go back. Right there.
Yeah. So if you hop over the bay and you see where those hills are, on the other side of the hills there's another very long beach running southward all the way to Newcastle called Stockton Beach. And on that beach there's sand mining, even still, and it's considered quite controversial. I don't know if you can see it by zooming out. You'd have to zoom out quite a bit more and look to the south. You're going north.
Oh, to the south. Let's see if we can see anything. There, that looks like it's been worked.
Okay, further south.
Further? Okay.
Okay, so yeah, now you're looking at Bennett Beach where that photo was taken of the three of them.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's Nelson Bay. Now that long beach that's beginning there, that gigantic curve.
Yeah.
So there's a huge dune system there, and in there were some spots here and there where they had
where there's sand mining. I wonder if...
Yeah. And it creates controversy, as you can imagine.
That right there, that area with the little roads and turns going in, you'd wonder if that was a sand mining area. But there are beautiful, long, white beaches that don't seem to carry a lot of traffic. Or is that just my imagination?
No, there's people sometimes riding up and down the beach in 4WD vehicles in this area. But this was my plan B. If fires had prevented me from going to the Myall Lakes area, we would have gone to this area.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the beach in the Myall. There's an example of Mungo.
The 4-wheel drive.
So
on
Mungo Beach is the only beach access point in the Myall Lakes area, I think. And if you walk away from that spot in any direction, you've got the beach pretty much to yourself, except for the occasional 4-wheel drive vehicle. And they're only allowed to drive in the national park on certain section of that beach.
Right. Well, it's interesting because it looks like you'd have to have a pretty serious vehicle in order to do it because the sand has deep ruts in it. And that tells me it's very soft, not very tolerable of a heavy truck. It looks like these folks got themselves in trouble.
Yeah. I would say so. You can't just take any vehicle out there.
Yeah.
And on the day when I was there, it was bigger. There were more people than I remembered because in the 90s when I would go there, typically there'd be 0 people in sight, and the beach is 10 miles long.
Yeah.
Last December when I was there were about 6 people, all at the beach access point, and in both directions from there was nobody at all.
Wow. So I think we had one more picture of you, or one more or two more, a picture of you with your science T-shirt. I've got to get one of those science T-shirts. What does it say? Something?
Yeah, so it says science ruining things since 1588.
Ruining everything since 1548. Yeah, that was really good, really great. And that is that same Mungo Beach area, or is that the one further south?
Yeah, in fact, that is at Mungo Beach.
Yeah.
And if the very left edge of the picture is roughly the spot from which I collected.
Okay, and we do have a photograph of that as well. So I thought the wisdom of putting the bag over your hand and then just digging it off the beach was really great. So.
Well, would there be any other way of doing it?
Nah, spooning
you
in.
To be quick, right?
Spooning in a plastic bottle, but you're right. I noticed you waited till the waves went out and got out before the waves came back in. So.
Yeah. So I tried to take some. Well, I asked my friend to take some photos showing the direction inland from the top of those dunes.
Yeah.
But the pictures didn't turn out very well. They were skewed, obscured, and you couldn't really see anything with the iPhone that I'd given.
Yeah.
So I didn't bother to send them.
No,
my
it's
guess
fine.
is that the photos you find online are better than.
We use the option of finding some of the things online if we have to, and that works out for us. Okay. So. All right. Well, we're going to take a look at the sand, and again, thank you. You have set a standard, I feel, between your photographs, the sand, and the videos that you sent. I'm going to start asking folks to do the same thing so that we have more to share. So thank you for that, and thank you for setting the standard. And we look forward to seeing you the next time you visit New Mexico.
Okay. Thank you very much for all of this. It's a pleasure to see. Finally, what's inside the sample I sent you?
Yeah, no. It's a beauty.
Okay.
It's in comparison to, I would say, it ranks right up there with some of the more beautiful samples that we've seen. So, we'll take a closer look here in just a second.
All right. Well, thank you, and take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Mike. He's a good guy.
Yes, Corey, it is Michael from the Learning Curve, the Forrest Venn Learning Curve.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right. That is. So as you can see, so we're under the stereo microscope now, and it's got a lot of character. But again, you can see the quartz, the rounded off quartz. You can see some of the feldspars in there as well. And you see an occasional, I have to scroll around to find the natural object. As you can see, there's probably one right over there on the edge, because it's too big to be a grain of sand. Everything did make it through the number 10 screen, the 2mm screen, but then you see objects like this. And I'm going to try and zoom in on that so you can see it a little bit better. But there was natural objects in there. Yeah, and you can see that it has a very different look from the quartz grains. Now, the problem with this particular sample, as usual, you're seeing the edge of the quartz crucible in which I have the sand. Let me move out just a little bit and magnify it just a little bit more, see if we can actually tell what it is. Yeah, so that's very likely a piece of shell that has been broken off from wherever it came and then progressively worn down by the waves. But as you can see, it's different, very different in shape from any of the other objects in that in this crucible. So I'm going to zoom into max on the stereo microscope and then kind of move around on it. Now, the hard part here is adjusting the light so it fits. But there is this is far more natural an object, and that's what I mean by shell, and organic, because it's basically calcium carbonate that is used by various organisms, and there's no telling where this particular one came from. I don't think it's a 4am because it doesn't have any of the holes that you'd see in a 4am. The grains themselves range in color from the perfectly clear to the yellow. There were a couple of orange ones. And then you see objects like this that not only have color to them, but they have character. I don't know how else to describe it. So they're not quartz grains. They're grains of probably feldspar, and I think somebody mentioned once plagioclase. So there was a lot of that in there as I scroll across for the sample. Let me get some focus in here. And so we'll see the clear and the yellow to orange, and then one of the more red-like objects, one of that, another mineral, definitely not quartz. But I think what we can say is that there's some, pink material there, some orange, reddish material. But I think what we can comfortably say is that for the most part, like normal, it's quartz-based, and the sand grains have been refined by weathering, whether it's weathering as they came down from some mountain stream, or weathering in the ocean, or weathering from wave action on the beach. But it is a really pretty sample. Now, I haven't posted any additional photos once the show is over, and later this evening after we get done with all our production, I will make some other images from this set, and both under the stereo microscope and the polarizing microscope, and post them to the album. And as I said, the link to the album is in the description box below. So let me move over to the polarizing microscope. I'm at 5x right now, and let's see if we can find some rainbow colors. That's usually at the edge when we start seeing them. So it's not a very sharp image. Hang on, let me get some exposure, brightness, and increase the contrast just a little bit. And let me adjust the polarization, see if we get some right there. So really beautiful, rounded, clear, refined quartz material, a lot of it. And there's not a lot of reflectivity because they almost have to be alone before you start getting any effects from the polarization. Let me move up and out here, see if I can find a couple that are more.
What's that? Oh.
Oops, I'm sorry. I wasn't looking. But this is, again, where you're going to see some of those strange, more organic objects. There you go. So that's calcium carbonate. You can tell just by the way it's constructed, And there is a little bit, or if you can see it right there, it's going to be tough to focus in because we have such short depth of field. That is a shell, a miniature shell of some kind. And again, from calcium carbonate. So in order to get this, I've got to find one of these objects over here so we can take a look at the... So when you start seeing that kind of reflectivity with what look like little sparkles of light from the quartz, that's the effect of the polarizing lens on either end of the camera. And again, eventually what I'll do is I'll get some photographs of these. I'm going to try stacking. I'm going to spend a lot of time trying to teach myself stacking this weekend because I really do want to get some of these images of the quartz, and stack it through so the focus is same all the way through and I don't have to focus this. This is at 10x. So I would call this one of the better samples we've seen. I want to finish with a stereo microscope just because it's so good looking. And this weekend I will do a video of our setups here, the two cameras that we use, and just give you an idea of the two, not the two cameras, the two microscopes. And the two microscopes, and then the cameras, the microscope cameras I have mounted on them. Okay. But I feel with all the material that Michael sent us, the images, the videos, the kind of backup information, he really did set the standard for.
You can tell he's an academic.
Yeah. And I'm glad. I think he might enjoy this because there's an academic component. I don't claim to be anywhere near the scientists that the people, the geologists of the world do this, but it fascinates me, and I love, honestly, as a photographer. Even if I'm not a science, as a photographer, it fascinates me. So we got to get going here because we got to get to our next show. Remember, if you'd like to be in the competition to win this image from the Great Smoky Mountains, please make a comment on last week's video. And I found an image that I really liked in Michael's collection here, and I'll show it to you because this is the one we're going to give away. We're gonna set up next Wednesday. Is that right? Yeah. So the giveaway will be next. Not the giveaway, but the announcement of the giveaway will be next Wednesday. And let me show you that image because it really is good looking. It's this one right here. So that's the image. Oops, sorry. Go to window shot. So that's the image that I'm going to make into a dye sublimation print that we'll give away next Wednesday. But to get this one. But to have a chance of winning this one, make a comment on. Now I confuse myself.
Yesterday,
to get this one,
Wednesday's video.
make a comment on last Wednesday's video.
Last Wednesday.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
The one where we talked about Little Smoky River. Or whatever.
No, Little River at the Townsend Y
Yeah.
in the Great Smoky Mountains
What he said.
National Park. I'm starting to memorize this stuff. And
Thanks, everybody, for being here. Special thanks to MEH for sending us his beautiful sand sample and sharing pictures from Australia with us. We really appreciate it and made a great show for us today. And for the World Sand Project, I'm your magical sand princess, Shelley Carney.
And you can see the Magical Sand Princess on her show at 4 o'clock on the softer side.
Right.
If you'd like to learn more about her life coaching skills, because
That's right.
she's my personal life coach, and I can say for the number of years that we've known one another, I'm a better man for it.
That's right.
So join us again next Wednesday and then again next Friday at 3 p.m. to see a sample of sand from all over the world. Next week, we're going to have a sample of sand from Scotland, from the northern point in Scotland.